Hi, I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back for another review on my channel. Not quite nocturnal, but we're getting there. It's not as bright out, and it's kind of dark in this room. So, anyway, before we get started, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell that notifies you when a new video is up. Also, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Bookbub, Goodreads, Wattpad. There's a lot on there. All the links for those are down below if you're curious what I'm up to, what I'm writing, whatnot. And if you're interested in my novel, The Curse of Ridge House, that's on Amazon in both Kindle and paperback, as well as my short story called Alone with the Professor, that's available on Kindle. And also, before I forget, not that I would, good, good. I was gonna say Goodreads, not Goodreads. We love Goodreads though. Darn, my mind is just Local Haunts. Sorry, Local Haunts has just been released on October 1st, so it hasn't even been out a week. But so it's still really fresh, and even after a week, it'll still be really fresh, of course. It is out right now. Please check that out. Please order your copy. It's available in Kindle and paperback, and it's a HorrorTube anthology. So it's a bunch of short stories written by all kinds of HorrorTubers, including myself. 19 terrifying tales that are, out just in time for Halloween. So it's during spooky season, so check it out. And all proceeds go to the charity called Read. So, for this review, I've been wanting to do this for a while. Oh yes, also please hit like and leave a comment if you would, please and thank you. Anyway, I've been wanting to do this review for a while, but I haven't had a copy of the book. It's actually a book I read last year, and every place I would look for a copy, it'd always be a brand new copy. And so it'd be full price, and it was like $16, and I'm like, I really don't want to buy $16 just to put in my library. Not that I won't pick it up and reread it, later down the line. It's just that I didn't want to buy a brand new copy if I could find a used one. And that is, and I just got this for a pretty cheap price, The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. It's the 1971 Gothic horror classic, which was also made into a movie and has spawned 2 sequels, a TV series, and 2 different prequels. And that's a whole other ballgame that we're not going to get into in this video, maybe in a future video, but anyway. So, we will talk about the movie because it's a book and movie review. But first off, it was published in 1971 by William Peter Blatty. Well, he didn't publish it himself. It was a publishing company, but you know what I mean. It was actually inspired by an alleged case of the exorcism of Roland Doe from 1949. Now, I don't know if any of you believe in the supernatural. Some do, some don't, and that's okay either way. I do, but this was actually inspired off of a real-life case of a boy who was demonically possessed, allegedly. I have to throw the allegedly in there for, people who may not believe it or are skeptical, and, again, that's fine. So, check out the case of Roland Doe. There's tons of information. You can look at both sides of it. My opinion is I do believe it was a legitimate case. So, I've heard the skepticism, and I understand where it's coming from, but there's some things in the case and the details that is not explained, I think, by the skeptic's point of view. But, that's just my opinion, so, I mean, everybody has their own opinion. But anyway, moving on. So, I mean, many people have seen The Exorcist. They've seen the movie. I don't know how many of you have read the book. I'd recommend reading the book, though. Even if you've seen the movie. I actually just saw the movie for the very first time last year and just watched it, like, last week or the week before. On a little downtime alongside, one of the prequels. But the book, going back to it, tells the story of a 12-year-old girl named Regan McNeil. or McNeil, and her actress mother, Chris. They've recently moved into this house in Georgetown while Chris is working on a movie. Weird sounds and things start happening in the house, almost immediately. So there's something already in their house from the beginning. It's something menacing and sinister. And it just kind of moves about the house freely, mostly at night. I think maybe all the time at night. I'm not sure. And what makes matters probably worse is what I'm going to go ahead and say here. Because obviously, if you were to... sorry, I had to do that. My eyelashes get crossed or something like that. I'm sorry. Where was I? Oh, yeah. What kind of makes things probably worse, and that's up for debate. So, I would say it does, and some people might say, "Oh, no," and lots of people would agree with me. Regan starts playing with a Ouija board and talks to a spirit, who calls himself Captain Howdy. Any bells going off for anybody right now? Any like red alert? Danger. Well, soon Reagan's behavior begins to change, and not in a good way. She becomes very moody. She has a horrible attitude. She talks in obscene language. She becomes violent, and she seems to start to do rather unexplainable and later very disturbing things as well. And so Chris is kind of thrown into this, frenzy. What does she do about her daughter? Her daughter's never acted this way. She begins to wonder, is there something mentally wrong with her daughter? Many of the medical doctors tell her, it's probably something medical when, and they kind of want to shy away from the psychological side, and eventually it comes to that. And so she starts seeking psychological help. One particular scene, Reagan is placed under hypnosis because they think that maybe she has a dual personality. Well, it doesn't end very well for the psychiatrist, the one who hypnotizes her, and that's all I'm going to say on that. So very soon after these things start happening and stuff, a murder happens. A body is found outside their home, and it is the director of the movie that Chris is in. So, Chris is just, her world is basically falling apart. Her daughter is going through this horrible thing, and nothing seems to be working to help her. And at the same time, this, this good friend of hers and her director has been murdered outside her home. And so eventually she's led to a Father Damien Karras, who is a Jesuit priest, but he is also suffering from a bit of a whirlwind of his own. His mother has recently died, and he is very greatly questioning his faith. There's a lot more that goes on because it goes very much into a kind of a detective story with a Lieutenant Kitterman. But I don't want to give too much away. There's, to the story, because I think you should go read it. And if you've seen The Exorcist, you know what goes on. But still, you should read the book if you have not. And really quick, we're going to talk about the movie. And I have the extended director's cut, which has this kind of 3D cover on it. Here's the regular. Many people call this the most terrifying or scariest movie of all time. I can believe that in some ways because of the idea behind it. I personally didn't find the movie terrifying myself to watch anyway. The idea of it, yes. The actual execution, of course, the film, no. If I was in the middle of all this stuff, of course, I'd find it very terrifying. But watching it for a movie, it's not as scary for me. It didn't, horrify me just to watch the film. But it was disturbing, nonetheless. So the film version came out in 1973. The screenplay was written by the author, William Peter Blatty. And it was directed by William Friedkin. I think that's how his name was pronounced. and it stars Ellen Burstyn, Max von Sydow as a character named Lancaster Mirren. He's a priest and the title Exorcist. He does a really good job in the role. Lee J. Cobb, Kitty Wynn, Jason Miller, who plays the part of Father Karras, and Linda Blair, who plays Regan, the one who gets possessed. And of course, Linda Blair, she plays a fantastic role in the film. The film is not much different actually from the movie. It has a pretty good fidelity with the film, with the book. Sorry, the camera just seemed to be askew. But all in all, sorry about that. You don't get that very often, so it's very, interesting that you'd get a film like this that's, almost exactly like the book. There's a few, I think, minor differences. The beginning's a little different than in the book, but it's mostly the same. When Kitterman, a lot of Kitterman's dialogue during his investigation is actually not in the film, and especially when he's reading about the black masses and stuff and the details of that, it's very disgusting and very disturbing in the book. That's all missing from the movie. In this version of the film, I guess, they've reintegrated the spider walk scene, which if you don't know what that is, again, read the book, watch the movie. Although the spider walk scene is a tad different from the book, I actually think that I've seen some raw footage from the original version of it, and I actually like the original version that they did not use at all in the film, better than the alternate cut that they used for the film. Also, they don't name the demon in the movie, but the demon is named in the book, and the original ending that was not used when the movie came out has been restored, and it's almost word for word from the book, except for the narration from the from reading the book, the narrative itself. So yeah, it's a pretty faithful adaptation, but even movies don't have to be completely faithful to their source material. As long as they hold a certain amount of fidelity, they usually tell, even if they're telling the same basic plot, the story is going to be different because of symbolism and based on, and the times when the film comes out. It's going to reflect ideas and stuff of the directors and whoever's directing whatever film, and those who write the screenplays, and everybody who's involved in what ends up getting on the screen, as well as what's going on in society at the time too. So it's going to reflect ideas concerning that. This, I think, pretty much touches the base with the book, except for the book is a little more detective story in places than the movie is. But all in all, it's a pretty good adaptation, so I'd recommend, if you've seen the movie, read the book. If you've only read the book, see the movie, do both. I highly recommend both. Another one I really want to do is the book and the movie Rosemary's Baby. I don't have a copy of that. I just read that this year. I don't have a copy of my own. And I actually will say that I actually enjoyed Rosemary's Baby better than The Exorcist, but The Exorcist is still enjoyable. So, and I've seen probably both movies as many times. I've only seen them maybe twice each. But, anyway. Of course, Rosemary's Baby I'd seen a few years ago for the first time and just watched it again earlier this year. So, anyway, that's pretty much the video for this time around, so check those out. If you want something terrifying to watch this October, watch The Exorcist and read the book. And that's all I have. So, have a good evening, have a good night, stay safe, and yeah, stay spooky. Bye-bye.